Good morning all. Today we are going to learn about the radial basis function based neural networks, or also called RBF neural networks. Before start learning the RBF network, try to recall the logistic regression and your perceptron model. Perceptron model for classification of your input space. Let there be two kind of patterns denoted by positives and negatives. The overall purpose is to train or is to develop a system that correctly classifies these two correctly classifies the patterns distributed in this way. So the logistic regression tries to draw a line separating the positive class from the negative class by making or by finding a vector theta such that when its transpose is multiplied by your input vector, it results in a value y. And when this value y is given to your logistic function, it generates class positive or negative, or you can say it generates class 0 or class 1. By this logistic function is given by this. So this is the overall functioning of your logistic regression. The condition is that these patterns were distributed over linear space. Means they were linearly related. Now consider the case of perceptron for the same application. The perceptron will be having p number of features if your input vector x was distributed over p number of features. And it will be having p number of features x1, then x2 up to xp, and it will be having two number of classes, class positive, class negative, or class 0 or class 1, you may say. And all your input units will be connected to your output units in this. So this is your perceptron architecture, and it again will try to find this line by adjustment of these weights which are there between the input layer and your output layer. So both perceptron model as well as your logistic regression tries to find a line that separates positive pattern from the negative. The only condition was that the problem should be linearly separable in nature. Now consider the other version of the same problem, but which are not linearly separable. Means two patterns were again there, positives and negatives again are there, but they were distributed in such a fashion that there is no possibility of drawing any linear line between them. And so your logistic regression model is not going to result in fruits or is not going to produce good results. On the other side, your perceptron model will thoroughly fail. It will not work on the problems which are linearly inseparable. So it will not solve, and its accuracy will be very less. But your logistic regression further tries to solve this problem by using the polynomial regression kind of thing. What we do is that, suppose there were p number of features, x1, x2, x3 to xp, and we know that the space distributed amongst these key features were non-separable, non-linearly separable. So what it do is it tries to map them to some higher degree, x1 square, x2 square, x3 square, and up to xp square, and then it tries to take a combination of that x1 square, x2 square, x3 square, xp square, and then some other combination may be there, x2 square, x1 square, x5 square, and x3, etc. So it maps the linear space into some higher degree, that may be the non-linear one also, in non-higher degree space, in higher degree space, and then tries to find whether is there any possibility of drawing or possibility of separating these two classes. This can be very well understood with the example that suppose this hand represent the patterns of this class number 1, and this represent the patterns of class number 2. Suppose they are positioned like this, then it is very easy to draw a line separating these patterns, means this line will separate them both. But now suppose our pattern are like this, then we just cannot draw any line between these two kind of patterns that separates it. But now think about some other dimensions. Think about the addition or existence of the third dimension. That is, think about this third dimension z. Now we can clearly see that now we can draw a plane that separates these two kind of patterns. So your logistic regression that makes use of your polynomial regression tries to fit the line in this way, try to fit a plane or hyperplane in this fashion. So your logistic regression tries to solve the problem. Your logistic regression tries to solve the problem by extending it to some higher dimensional space. On the other side, if we talk about the neural networks, that we know that this single layer perceptron failed miserably while solving the problems which are non-linearly separable in nature. Then the multi-layer perceptron, that is MLP, tried to solve it by insertion, by addition of some hidden layers. Some hidden layers were added. There were connections like these. These were the connections for your multi-layer perceptron. It works in two phases. One is your feed forward phase, and one is your back propagation, error back propagation phase. Error back propagation phase. So your multi-layer perceptron tries to classify the patterns just by adjusting this output being generated and your target. They result in a term that is called as error. This error is to be reduced by the back propagation algorithm that is mentioned here in the backward direction. It means these weights are to be changed, that minimizes the errors, and then again the feed forward phase come in action, then back propagation phase, and the process keep on progressing till we have achieved the minimum error or all the patterns are correctly classified. So this is the extension of your single layer perceptron for solving your non-linear problems of classification. Now the principle of this is your error correction learning. Error correction learning, or also called as gradient descent. Gradient descent learning it is called. So, till now, what we have learned is that there was a regression technique, and on the other side was your perceptron, or you can say neural network based technique. Regression was of logistic in nature, which further makes use of your polynomial regression, polynomial features use, not exactly regression, polynomial features. And the perceptron, not single layer but multiple layer perceptron, both of them to the capability to solve your non-linearly separable problems. They may try, if not solve, their accuracy may or may not be good. That depends whether, or you can say how well they were distributed in higher dimensional space, or the existence of some plane or some hyperplane in that in higher dimensions also. So the results depend upon that also. So this is what we have well done. Now let us try to look at some more linearly separable and non-linearly separable problems. Let us try to draw a graph for OR. OR says that there will be 1 at 1 1 if there are only two input dimensions x1 and x2. This is x1 and this is x2. 0 at 0 0 0 1 1 then 1 1 1. So it is linearly separable as we can draw a line separating ones and zeros, or positives and negatives. And the same as with your AND gate also. AND gate also results in this kind of table or graph, and we can easily draw a line separating ones and zeros. Now look at the third, that is the graph for x1. We cannot have a line that separates the zeros and ones. Means there is no single line that separates the zeros and ones. So it falls under non-linearly separable problems. So for non-linearly separable problems, just drawn here also, the class of positives and negatives. So they were linearly inseparable in two dimensions, but just after looking the two features in terms of 4 features, 5 features, or some higher dimensions, it may be possible that these two places may form a single shape like this, and these two form a shape like this, and we may have a plane or line that separates these two spaces in some higher dimensions. So there is a possibility. This is considered by your polynomial feature-based logistic regression also, and this is again to be used by your radial basis, that is RBF networks also. So the overall principle of your radial basis function based neural networks is to visualize, is to map your feature space into some higher dimensional space where there is a possibility of having some linearly separable boundaries within. So the principle of your radial basis function or RBF neural networks is to consider a higher dimensional non-linear mapping of features distributed in space P to a higher dimensional feature space containing m number of dimensions, where this P is less than m, or you can say if there are samples, input samples distributed amongst x1 x2 up to xp number of features, then each of these patterns is to be non-linearly mapped amongst your m1, or you take some other variable, suppose z1 z2 up to zm number of features. And the possibility is there that the problems which were linearly non-separable in this space, in p-dimensional space, may or may not be linearly separable in this higher dimensional or m dimensional space. So this is the overall principle of your RBF neural networks, just to non-linearly map a p-dimensional or lower dimensional space to some higher dimensional space. So now look with the example of neural network architecture. Suppose earlier we were having the input layer of any neural network containing p number of features x1, x2 up to p, yp, as we have already assumed that our input vector was of p features x1, x2 up to xp, and let there n total number of samples were there. N samples were there and which were distributed over p number of features. And now what we have to do, we have to non-linearly map these p number of features to m numbered or m numbered feature space. So we have to consider m number of neurons in our hidden layer, 1, 2, 3, and mth neuron, and there will be a connection, or each of these hidden layer neuron will be getting your input pattern, means all the p features will be going to your neuron number 1, and the neuron number 1, its functioning or its overall aim will be to map these p features in your higher dimensional space, or you can say it will generate a new feature out of by considering all these p number of features. In the same way, the vector will go to your second neuron also, it will also generate the other one, and it will also generate the third one, and in this way your m number of features will be generated. These new features will have to be considered for further classification, because we were pretty much clear that these xp number of features were not resulting fruits to correctly classify the pattern space, your input space. So we have just increased the dimension, we have non-linearly mapped these p number of features to your m number of features, and now we will try to classify these, we'll try to apply some classification mechanism to classify the input space based upon these m number of features. So these p features are going to be expanded to your m number of features, and one of the property or the quality of each of these m features should be that they should not disturb the initial or the original quality of your input patterns. Means their interrelationship between other features should be maintained while non-linearly mapping it to higher dimensional space. So this should be followed, and each of these features, this first one, second one, third one, and mth one, are to be produced using your radial basis function. Now comes in action the radial basis function. Means all a pattern consisting of p features will be given to neuron number 1. Here RBF or radial basis function will be applied. It will non-linearly map, or it will generate a new feature out of this. In the same way, second feature will be generated using radial basis function at this neuron, and your mth neuron also. So radial basis functions are responsible for mapping your input space to your higher dimensional space that is spread over m number of dimensions. So it is the function of your radial basis function layer or your radial basis functions. Now let us talk in detail about radial basis functions. So let us name this as phi 1 of x, this is phi 2 of x, and this is phi m of x. So m radial basis functions are there, or in some representational way we can say that your earlier input p input vector that was equal to vector x containing p number of features containing x1 x2 up to xp is, or you can say, will now be represented using m number of features, and each feature is given by phi 1 of x, phi 2 of x, and up to phi m of x. So this is our new representation. And one thing more to remember, that p is less than or equal to 1, means it is also possible to map the p featured space into some new p features. Means to say that 10 features were initially there and we have to generate 10 new features. There may be possibility of linear separability in those 10 features when we look at the input space from the angle or from the view of those 10 new features. So this is your new nonlinear mapping, which is the main concept behind your invention of your radial basis function. Now let us look what actually are the radial basis function. These RBFs can be seen as a receptor unit. This is called receptor, and there are certain fixed radii concentric circles around this receptor. Let me call this as your T receptor. Some concentric circles are there around this. Then a new value or new function x coming at any point will be mapped to this receptor by generating a value that is equal to t minus x, and this t minus x, or you can say r, will now be passed to some radial basis function. And there are actually three radial basis functions available to us. One is your multi-quadrics, second is your inverse multi-quadrics, and third one, and the most popular one, is your Gaussian function. So we are going to this becomes your R, that is the mode value of t minus x, where t is your receptor and x is your actual value, or you can say actual input pattern. Now based upon this R, there are three types of RBF, or you can say radial basis function. Let us discuss them one by one. Your first one is multi-quadratic function. Multi-quadrics radial function. It is represented using phi of r is equal to r square plus c square and then square root, where c is a constant and is greater than 0. So if we try to draw it graphically, then what we see is that its nature will be such that when r is 0, its value is c, and when r is increasing in positive direction, then the function will increase like this, and if function increases in negative direction, then also the overall value increases. So this is the overall shape of your multi-quadrics function given by this, where r was equal to your actual pattern t minus your actual pattern, or you can say actual pattern minus t, where t is your receptor. Both are one and same thing. The second function is your inverse multi-quadrics function. Inverse multi-quadrics function. Its equation, or you can say it can be represented using just by taking inverse of that r square plus c square, where c is greater than 0. Now if you try to observe its nature, if r is 0, it will be 1 upon c. If r increases, the values of this function decreases. So we can draw this by looking at it, that it is equal to c, and it follows this curve. Means when value is low, value of r is low, then its function value is higher. If it keep on increasing, then the function value decreases. So this is our second radial basis function. And the third one, and the most popular one, mostly used one, is your Gaussian RBF. Gaussian is RBF function. We all know its equation, that phi of r will be given by e raised to the power exponential raised to the power minus r square minus r square upon 2 sigma square. This